The mind is the most powerful tool you'll ever own, but it's also the most dangerous if left untrained. For most people, the mind isn't a power plant, it's a prison. It locks them in fear, in hesitation, in what-ifs. But for the top 1%, the mind generates energy, creativity, and direction. They've learned to master their mental state, to think deliberately, not emotionally. And that's the great secret. Success doesn't begin with opportunity. It begins with clarity. Once your mind becomes an ally instead of an enemy, wealth, confidence, and purpose naturally follow. Overthinking is not caution, it's a thief in disguise. It steals your time, your peace, and eventually your success. Some people have been thinking about it for 10 years. The business idea, the book, the investment, the change, all locked in the vault of their mind. But here's the truth. Thinking without action is the slowest form of failure. The wealthy, the successful, the fulfilled, they don't have clearer roads, they have quieter minds. They replace doubt with decision and motion. And the moment you start doing the same, your whole life begins to shift. You know, I've met a lot of people who think their problem is lack of opportunity, but really, their problem is too much thinking and not enough doing. The mind can be a beautiful servant, but for most, it becomes a very busy master. People spend hours, days, even years debating, analyzing, and planning, but they never get around to acting. And here's what I've learned. The more you think without moving, the heavier the next step becomes. Thinking too much is a sign of too little action. It's a way of convincing yourself you're working, while avoiding the very thing that produces results, motion. I remember a time early in my career when I'd sit at my little kitchen table with notebooks full of ideas. Plans to start a business, plans to read more books, plans to meet more people, pages and pages of beautiful plans. But months later, I realized I had the same plans, just newer pens. I wasn't stuck because I didn't know what to do. I was stuck because I was waiting to feel ready. That's the trap of overthinking. It gives you the illusion of progress without the reality of it. At some point, I made a decision that changed everything. I'd rather make small mistakes moving forward than big regrets standing still. That was the turning point. See, the top 1% don't have all the answers. They're not necessarily smarter, but they act, they test, they learn, and they adjust. They don't wait for perfect. They build it through experience. They understand that clarity doesn't come before motion. It comes because of it. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the first step. Experience has a way of teaching that no book or seminar can. When you move, you create feedback. You discover what works, what doesn't, and that's how you grow. But when you just think, you learn nothing. The mind loves to debate. It says, what if it fails? What if I lose money? What if people laugh? But let me tell you something. The same energy it takes to imagine failure can be used to create success. You can't control every outcome, but you can control your effort. So instead of asking, what if it doesn't work? Ask, what if it does? That small shift in thinking can move you from hesitation to momentum. Here's what I started doing, and I suggest you do the same. When a decision comes, give yourself a short window. 10 minutes. That's it. Decide and move. Because decisions delayed are dreams denied. Take small, fast actions. They don't have to be perfect. They just have to be consistent. At the end of each day, make sure you've done one thing that moves you forward, not one more thing that keeps you thinking. Overthinking is a habit, but so is action. And once you taste the satisfaction of progress, real, visible, measurable progress, your brain starts craving motion instead of perfection. So don't let your mind become a debate hall. Turn it into a command center. Don't wait to feel ready. Get ready by doing. Because the truth is, motion creates clarity, and clarity creates success. You know, the greatest battle you'll ever fight is not with the market, not with competition, not even with time. It's with your own mind. Most people lose that battle every single morning before the day even begins. The alarm goes off and the mind whispers 5 more minutes. A task appears and the mind says, do it later. That's not a scheduling issue, that's a negotiation. And every time you negotiate with your mind, you lose authority over it. Discipline is not punishment. It's teaching your mind who's in charge. When I first started in business, I thought motivation was everything. I'd get excited after a seminar, make big plans, and say, tomorrow I'm changing my life. But then morning would come, and that same excitement would vanish. My mind would find every reason to delay. It's too early. You're tired. You can start next week. And I believed it every time. It wasn't until I realized that motivation fades, but discipline stays, that things began to change. So I made a deal with myself. No more negotiations. When I said I'd do something, I'd do it, whether I felt like it or not. I treated every promise to myself like a contract. You see, when you break promises to others, you damage trust. But when you break promises to yourself, you damage confidence. Every small broken promise, the skipped workout, the postponed call, the delayed goal, chips away at your belief that you can rely on yourself. But every promise you keep builds strength. Start with something simple. Wake up at the first alarm. Don't give your mind the privilege of debate. Just act. When you feel resistance, remind yourself, this is my mind working for me, not against me. And here's the beautiful part, the mind learns. The more you act without hesitation, the quieter the resistance becomes. What once felt impossible becomes natural. What was once a battle becomes a command. I remember telling a young man once, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. At first, small tasks feel heavy, but each time you complete one, you grow. You develop mental endurance, and soon you'll discover that your mind begins to follow your direction automatically. The wealthy, the successful, the fulfilled, they all share this ability. They don't wait for the right feeling to act. They act until the right feeling follows. You'll notice that when you stop negotiating, life gets simpler. Not easier, but simpler. Decisions become clear. Energy increases. Confidence grows. You begin to trust yourself again. And that trust is the foundation of success. Because if you can't trust yourself to do what you say, how can you expect anyone else to? So train your mind to obey. When it says, I'll do it later, respond with, we do it now. When it says, I don't feel like it, say, we do it anyway. Every act of obedience builds inner strength. And every small victory compounds into greatness. Success doesn't start with talent. It starts with mastery over your own mind. When you learn to command your thoughts, you can command your destiny. You know, worry is one of the most subtle thieves of success. It doesn't come to you shouting, it comes whispering. It sits quietly in your mind, convincing you that thinking about a problem is the same as solving it. But it isn't. Worry is a misuse of imagination. The same mind that can dream up visions of success, purpose, and growth can just as easily create pictures of fear, failure, and doubt. And once those pictures take over, they paralyze you. You stop moving. You stop building. You stop believing. The mind that worries cannot create. I remember in my younger years, there were nights when I'd lie awake thinking about all the things that could go wrong, the debts I hadn't paid, the opportunities I might miss, the goals I hadn't reached, I thought I was being responsible, but really, I was just being fearful. Then one night, it hit me. Worrying is like rocking in a chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. That realization changed everything for me. See, worry is energy, raw, powerful energy, but it's being directed the wrong way. The same fire that burns your peace can also build your future if you redirect it. Instead of asking, what if it fails? Ask, what can I do about it right now? That's the secret. Transform anxiety into action. You can't worry and work at the same time. The brain can't focus on fear while it's building something. So every time you catch yourself worrying, switch gears. Pick one concrete task that moves you forward. When I started doing this, I made a rule. Write down what's bothering you, but only once. Then, instead of circling the problem, take one action against it, make the call, send the message, organize the plan, or learn the skill. Even a 5-minute action dissolves hours of worry because it shifts your focus from what might happen to what I can do. It's amazing how much peace shows up when you start moving. I remember a young entrepreneur once told me, I'm overwhelmed. I keep worrying about failing. I asked him, how much time did you spend working today? He said, maybe an hour. And I said, then you didn't work long enough to silence the worry. See, work is therapy for the mind. The more you act, the less room fear has to grow. That's why I always tell people, if you're worried, get busy. Chop wood, make calls, read a book, take notes, clean your desk. Movement creates clarity, and clarity kills fear. The top 1% aren't immune to worry. They just know how to channel it. They don't sit around imagining problems. They go to work designing solutions. They use the nervous energy that most people waste as fuel for focus. They understand that the cure for anxiety isn't avoidance, it's action. So the next time worry comes knocking, don't invite it in for coffee, hand it a job. Tell it if you're going to be here, you're going to help. Replace every fearful thought with a task that builds your strength or moves your vision forward. Reward progress, not perfection. Because motion, not meditation on fear, is what creates success. Worry fades when work begins, and that's when your imagination stops building walls and starts building dreams. You know, one of the greatest discoveries I ever made in my journey toward success was this. Focus is wealth's greatest multiplier. Not skill, not luck, not even time. Focus. Because what you focus on expands. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and your results grow. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they scatter their energy across too many things. They chase 10 rabbits and catch none. The top 1%, they pick one target and stay locked in until it falls. They train their focus like an athlete trains muscle, with repetition, intensity, and discipline. I remember a season in my life when I was busy, and I mean busy. I had papers, projects, plans, meetings. I was always moving, but I wasn't advancing. Then I realized something. Activity is not accomplishment. I was mistaking motion for progress. My energy was being diluted by distraction. And here's what I learned. You can't multiply results from a divided mind. Focus is the great magnifier. A single concentrated hour of work on something meaningful can produce more results than 10 hours of half attention. Focus is also protection. Your attention is your most valuable currency, and every day something is trying to steal it. Your phone, notifications, endless scrolling, or other people's agendas. If you spend your attention on distractions, don't be surprised when your bank account mirrors your habits. I started guarding my focus like my finances. I set aside blocks of time for my most valuable work. No calls, no messages, no interruptions. I treated those hours like sacred appointments with my future, and it changed everything. There's something almost magical that happens when you commit fully to one thing. Your mind sharpens. Your creativity deepens. Your intuition awakens. You start seeing connections and opportunities you missed before. The scattered mind is blind, but the focused mind sees everything. When you give one task your undivided attention, you tap into a level of excellence that most never experience. That's why the wealthy often seem lucky. It's not luck, it's laser focus over time. If you want to test the power of focus, try this simple exercise. Block just 2 hours a day for your most valuable task, the one that moves the needle in your business, your career, or your finances. During that time, turn off every notification. No phone, no social media, no multitasking. Just you and your work. You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish in those 2 focused hours. That kind of discipline separates the dreamers from the doers. And once a week, review your distractions. Write them down. Identify where your time went, not where you hoped it went. Then eliminate one. Just one. If you do that every week, you'll reclaim hours of focus you didn't know you were losing. The truth is, focus doesn't just multiply wealth, it multiplies fulfillment, because when you work with full attention, you live with full presence. Your mind stops chasing 100 unfinished thoughts and starts producing one clear result. The top 1% know this. Divided attention leads to divided results, but focused attention builds empire. So train your focus like your fortune depends on it, because it does. Guard it fiercely, spend it wisely, and invest it daily. In a world full of noise, the quiet mind wins. And the one who learns to focus long enough on one great thing will soon have everything they ever focused on. You know, we live in an age where information is everywhere, and that's both a blessing and a curse. You can open your phone right now and learn about investing, fitness, psychology, or success in seconds. Yet strangely, we're surrounded by knowledge but starving for wisdom. People read, watch, and listen all day long, but their lives don't change. Why? Because knowledge alone doesn't create results. Applied knowledge does. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes real power when you put it to work. I've met people who've attended every seminar, read every book, taken every course, and can quote every motivational line, but when I ask them what they've done with what they know, the answer is silence. See, the danger of constant learning is that it tricks the brain into feeling productive. The mind says, I'm learning, so I'm progressing, but until that knowledge translates into consistent action, it's just entertainment with good vocabulary. Overthinkers drown in untested ideas. The wealthy don't just learn, they implement. They test. They experiment. They adapt. I remember when I first started studying success principles. I devoured books, listened to tapes, filled journals with ideas. I was so excited by what I was learning that I forgot to actually do anything with it. Then one day a mentor said something that changed everything. Stop collecting notes, start collecting results. It hit me hard. I realized that if I didn't start applying what I knew, I'd become a walking library that never opened its doors. So I made a new rule. For every hour I spent learning, I'd spend 2 hours doing. That simple shift transformed my growth forever. There's a principle I call the 70/30 rule. Spend 30% of your time learning and 70% applying. Most people have it reversed. They read all week and never move. But it's action that teaches faster than study. You'll learn more from one failed attempt than from 10 hours of theory. Experience sharpens understanding in ways reading never can. The top 1% know that education without execution is just consumption. So they take what they learn, apply it immediately, track the outcome, and refine their approach. That's how they compound wisdom. So here's something you can do starting today. After you learn something new, whether from a book, a mentor, or even this talk, apply one idea within 24 hours, just one. If you read about investing, make a small investment. If you study productivity, schedule your week differently. If you learn about communication, try it in your next conversation. Don't wait for perfect conditions. The doing is what perfects the knowledge. Then, track your results. Reflect on what worked, what didn't, and adjust. That process of reflection turns learning into systems. Every lesson tested becomes part of your playbook, a reliable strategy you can repeat and teach. And once a month, revisit your notes, not to admire them, but to extract actions. Ask yourself, which of these ideas have I turned into results? Because what you apply stays with you. What you ignore fades away. Remember, knowledge builds confidence, but action builds income. You don't need more information, you need more implementation. Every great success story begins not with a plan perfectly understood, but with a principle boldly applied. Stop collecting information, start collecting experience. Because wealth doesn't come to those who know the most. It comes to those who do the most with what they know. You know, one of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn was that mistakes aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that failure means you've lost, that if you make a mistake, it's a sign you're not good enough. But that's not true. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every person you admire, every top performer, every wealthy individual, they've all failed. And not just once. They've failed over and over until they learned how to fail forward. Overthinkers fear mistakes, but achievers mine them for wisdom. When I was younger, I used to freeze up whenever something didn't go right. I'd overanalyze, replay the moment, and think if only I hadn't said that, or if only I'd waited a little longer. But that mindset only kept me stuck. I was treating mistakes like a verdict instead of feedback. One day, I remember an older gentleman telling me, "You can't steer a parked car." That hit me hard. I realized you can't correct what you never start. The only people who never make mistakes are the ones who never try. The successful have a different relationship with failure. They see it as information. When something doesn't work, they don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" They treat every setback as tuition for their success education. They know that every failure contains data, what to do better, what to stop doing, what to double down on. That's why they fail fast and fix faster. They understand that the quicker you can turn a mistake into a lesson, the faster you can turn a lesson into mastery. Think of failure like a mirror. It reflects what's working and what's not, but you have to be willing to look at it. I remember early in my business career, I lost money on an opportunity that I thought was a sure thing. For weeks, I was bitter. I blamed the market, the timing, even luck. Then one day, I stopped and asked myself, what part of this was my responsibility? And the answer was simple. I hadn't done my due diligence. I'd been impatient. That one reflection taught me more than any book could. From that day forward, I never made an investment without research. That loss became one of my greatest teachers. Here's what I tell people: journal your mistakes. Don't hide from them, dissect them. After every failure, write down what happened, what you learned, and how you'll adjust. Over time, that journal becomes a map, a record of how far you've come and how much wiser you've grown. Every misstep leaves a clue if you're willing to look for it. And when you fail, celebrate the lesson. Don't confuse celebration with satisfaction. Celebrate because it means you're still in the game, still learning, still moving forward. Every failure that brings clarity is a win in disguise. The truth is, the top 1% aren't fearless, they're courageous. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action despite it. They've simply made peace with mistakes. They don't run from them or deny them. They shake hands with failure and say, let's see what you came to teach me. And that's the shift that changes everything. So stop running from your mistakes. Embrace them. They're not proof of your limits, they're proof that you're pushing them. The day you stop fearing failure is the day you start growing faster than you ever imagined. Mistakes aren't your enemy, they're your greatest unpaid mentors. Emotional discipline is the foundation upon which every great financial decision is built. You see, most people struggle with money not because they don't know how to earn it or invest it, but because they let emotion dictate their actions. Fear makes them sell when the market dips, greed makes them buy when the price is high, and impatience makes them abandon plans just before success appears. The 1% understand that you cannot master money if you cannot master yourself first. Emotional clarity precedes financial clarity. Calm minds create opportunities that frantic minds miss. I remember early in my career, I faced a business setback that could have been devastating. My first instinct was panic, to react immediately and salvage what I could. I took a deep breath and reminded myself, it's not what happens to you that matters, it's how you respond. That pause, that moment of emotional control, allowed me to make decisions strategically rather than reactively. I assessed the situation, identified opportunities hidden within the problem, and took action that ultimately led to greater success than if I had acted out of fear. Emotional discipline is about building the habit of responding rather than reacting. It's about stepping back from every stressful situation and asking yourself, what can I learn? What can I control? How do I turn this into an advantage? Those who fail financially often act in the heat of the moment. They complain, they blame, they make impulsive moves. Discipline replaces this chaos with intentionality. A practical method I teach is the simple 10-second pause. When stress hits, take 10 seconds to breathe and gather your thoughts before you respond. Replace any complaints with gratitude immediately. Ask yourself, what went right today? What can I control tomorrow? By ending your day listing what went right rather than what went wrong, you train your mind to focus on solutions, not problems. Over time, this habit rewires your emotional responses and builds resilience. The top earners don't panic during uncertainty. They see opportunity. They don't chase every headline or rumor. They focus on fundamentals and long-term value. And the reason they can do this is because their emotions don't run the show. Emotional discipline allows them to act when others hesitate, invest when others flee, and remain steady when others panic. Ultimately, before you can master money, you must master yourself. Money follows clarity, patience, and intentional action. If you let emotion lead, you will always be at the mercy of circumstances. But if you cultivate emotional discipline, even the most chaotic market or uncertain environment becomes a place of opportunity. Calmness breeds confidence. And confidence, executed consistently, is what creates wealth. The challenge is simple. Train your mind to respond, not react. Master your emotions, and your finances will follow. Overthinking often arises from confusion, distraction, and a lack of clarity. When you don't know exactly why you are doing something, every choice becomes a mountain. Every decision feels fraught with risk, and your mind spins endlessly, weighing possibilities and fears. But purpose, a clearly defined why, acts like a compass for your mind, cutting through the fog and giving clarity to action. When your why is strong, the how naturally falls into place. The top 1% don't waste mental energy on trivial doubts because they are anchored to a purpose far greater than momentary discomfort or indecision. I've seen this in my own life many times. Early in my journey, I faced multiple opportunities and paths, each tempting and uncertain. Without a strong why, I floundered, weighed pros and cons endlessly, and wasted time. But once I clarified my mission to educate and empower people toward personal and financial growth, every decision became easier. I knew what to say yes to, and more importantly, what to say no to. Purpose transformed indecision into decisive action. It allowed me to focus, prioritize, and execute without being paralyzed by fear or overanalysis. Purpose simplifies your choices because it acts as a filter. Every opportunity, every task, every expense can be evaluated against your mission. Does this serve my purpose or distract from it? If it serves your mission, act boldly. If it doesn't, eliminate it without guilt. The top 1% do not overanalyze whether they should pursue their mission. They pursue it relentlessly because their why is non-negotiable. A practical method to harness this is to write down your top 3 reasons for success. Not vague statements like, "I want money," but deep, motivating truths, such as providing for your family, creating freedom, or leaving a legacy. Read these daily to reinforce your mental clarity and commitment. Then, align every goal and task with that deeper mission and ruthlessly eliminate anything that does not serve it. This practice focuses your energy, clears your mind, and builds unstoppable momentum. Purpose is not a motivational slogan. It is a mental anchor that silences doubt and quiets overthinking. When you root your actions in meaning, indecision becomes rare, hesitation disappears, and the mental chaos of overanalysis is replaced by the calm confidence of clarity. Your mission guides you, and your decisions become natural expressions of that mission. The challenge is simple. Define your why, align everything with it, and watch overthinking dissolve in the face of clarity and purpose. Too often, people panic about rising costs, inflation, or market uncertainty, thinking their money alone will secure their future. The truth is, money sitting idle in a bank loses value over time, but skills never depreciate. Skills compound, appreciate, and even insulate you from economic turbulence. I've learned this firsthand. When I first started, I had little capital, almost no connections, and certainly no guarantee of success. What I did have was the willingness to learn relentlessly. I invested my time, my focus, and even a portion of my modest income into acquiring skills that increased my earning power. Leadership, communication, sales, financial literacy, each new ability became a multiplier for opportunities and income. The more I invested in myself, the more my returns grew, often faster than any money in the bank could. Treat your brain as your highest return asset. Unlike physical money, which can lose value due to inflation, taxes, or poor decisions, your mastery of skills always grows, compounds, and becomes more valuable with time. The key is to be intentional about the skills you acquire. Learn what the market demands, what enhances your ability to create value, and what positions you for long-term growth. Leadership allows you to multiply influence, sales skills, convert opportunities into income. Financial literacy prevents costly mistakes, and communication turns ideas into action. When you prioritize these abilities, you create a personal hedge against the erosion of wealth by external forces. But learning alone is not enough. To truly internalize and benefit from a skill, you must teach it. I've found that the act of teaching forces you to clarify, refine, and internalize knowledge in a way that mere consumption never does. Whether mentoring a colleague, delivering a presentation, or writing a guide, sharing what you learn locks the knowledge in place and often creates additional income or influence. Teaching also positions you as an authority, attracting opportunities, partnerships, and rewards that passive learning cannot. Practical steps matter. Allocate at least 10% of your income, yes, real money, even if small, to courses, books, seminars, or coaching that enhance your marketable abilities. Prioritize skills with measurable return on investment, those that increase earning potential, create leverage, or open new doors. Then, commit to teaching at least one principle or skill per month, whether to a colleague, team, or community. This habit ensures your growth is exponential, not linear. In the face of inflation, uncertainty, or change, your mastery becomes your wealth. Money may fluctuate, but skill compounds relentlessly. Focus on becoming irreplaceable, capable, and valuable, because the more skilled you are, the more secure and abundant your life becomes. Confidence is more than a feeling, it's a currency that pays dividends in opportunity, income, and influence. Money doesn't simply respond to effort or luck. It responds to certainty. When you move with confidence, people trust you, opportunities seek you, and your decisions carry weight. Early in my life, I noticed that those who appeared uncertain or hesitant often got passed over for deals, promotions, or partnerships, even if they were equally or more capable. The difference wasn't skill, it was confidence. Those who prepared, practiced, and moved decisively attracted wealth because their certainty reduced risk for others. Cultivating this confidence begins with preparation. Confidence is never faked, it is earned. I remember stepping into my first speaking engagements with almost no experience. What carried me wasn't bravado, but countless hours of practice, refining the message and mastering the material. By preparing more than anyone expected, I could step on stage with a quiet assurance that allowed me to focus entirely on serving my audience, not on my fear. This same principle applies to finance, business, or personal growth. When you prepare thoroughly, you minimize doubt and maximize decisiveness. Confidence also grows through keeping promises to yourself. Every commitment you honor, waking up on time, completing a task, making disciplined financial choices, builds trust in your own capabilities. I learned early that the brain rewards reliability. When I proved to myself that I could consistently act with discipline, my confidence became automatic. This self-trust compounds, much like interest in a bank account, giving you leverage to take bigger risks, negotiate better deals, and pursue opportunities others avoid. Practically, start by preparing twice as much as required before any opportunity, whether a presentation, negotiation, or a financial decision. Rehearse, research, and anticipate objections. Practice confident communication. Posture, tone, and clarity are all signals that reinforce competence. And most importantly, commit to small daily promises and keep them. Each fulfilled commitment builds a foundation of certainty that radiates into every interaction. Confidence is not an illusion or a mask. It is a product of preparation, discipline, and integrity. When you cultivate it, the world responds in kind. Opportunities multiply, negotiations favor you, and wealth flows more readily. Confidence pays interest, invest in it diligently, and it will compound for a lifetime. Wealth is rarely created by simply adding more hours, more effort, or more transactions. True financial growth comes from multiplication, taking a single unit of effort, skill, or capital, and making it generate far beyond its original value. Early in my life, I worked long hours at a modest job, thinking that more work alone would eventually lead to financial freedom. I learned the hard way that effort without leverage has a ceiling. The breakthrough came when I realized that multiplying value through investments, systems, and people creates growth that addition alone cannot achieve. Multiplication begins with leverage. Money, when directed wisely, can earn more money. People, when guided and empowered, can amplify your results. Systems, when designed correctly, can operate independently of your constant attention. For example, $1 invested in a growing stock or a business does not just sit there. It earns, compounds, and creates returns that grow exponentially over time. Similarly, mentoring and training a capable assistant or team multiplies what you can accomplish in a day. Each lever you pull strategically magnifies output far beyond the simple sum of hours worked. Compounding is another key aspect of multiplication. Just as compound interest grows wealth over time, compounding effort and knowledge generates exponential results. Learning a skill today may seem small, but if applied consistently and layered with other skills over years, it creates opportunities that a single effort never could. I recall studying public speaking for 1 hour each day. At first, it seemed minor, yet over time it became a cornerstone of my income and influence, opening doors that years of unstructured effort could not have. Practical application of this principle means investing profits into ventures that scale. Let your money work for you through assets, businesses, or investments rather than idle consumption. Automate streams of income wherever possible, whether through dividend reinvestments, royalties, or recurring sales models. Protect your time by delegating low-value tasks, focusing your energy where it multiplies results. Each decision should ask, how can this action generate more than itself? Thinking in multiplication rather than addition transforms how you approach work, money, and life. It shifts you from a mindset of scarcity to one of exponential potential. Every choice, every effort, every dollar becomes a seed that can grow into far more than its original size. If you master this mindset, your influence, income, and impact will expand far beyond what mere addition could ever achieve. Focus is a form of wealth. Just as you protect your money from unnecessary loss, you must protect your attention from unnecessary drain. Every minute spent distracted, scrolling, or worrying about the irrelevant is a minute of opportunity wasted, a dollar that could have been invested in skill, relationships, or income generation lost. Early in my career, I realized that my biggest obstacle wasn't lack of knowledge or talent, but the constant tug of distractions. Emails, idle conversations, and trivial tasks were quietly eroding my potential returns, just like hidden fees erode a savings account over time. Protecting focus begins with awareness. You must audit where your attention goes and ask a fundamental question. Is this adding value or subtracting from my growth? Anything that doesn't contribute to your long-term vision is a thief, and it must be minimized or eliminated. Just as you wouldn't deposit your life savings into a risky scheme without due diligence, don't deposit your attention into activities that offer no return. I remember blocking off 3 hours every morning to focus exclusively on writing, planning, or learning. That small commitment created breakthroughs far beyond what scattered attention could ever achieve. Creating a focus budget is as important as a financial budget. Decide on a limited number of priorities each day, no more than 3, and give them your full energy. If your attention is spread thin across too many tasks, nothing grows. Depth beats breadth. For example, when I concentrated on one speaking opportunity at a time, preparing fully, rather than juggling 5 engagements half-heartedly, the results were far more significant, better feedback, higher invitations, and more meaningful connections. Discipline also comes into play. Turn off digital distractions, notifications, social media, and unnecessary emails. Protect your mental space like you would protect an investment portfolio. Each week, identify one major time waster and eliminate it entirely. It could be a habit, a commitment, or even a device that consumes attention without return. Small, consistent removal of distractions compounds into enormous gains over months and years. Ultimately, focus is the currency of achievement. Income, influence, and impact all flow to those who can direct their attention toward high-value pursuits consistently. By protecting your focus with the same vigilance you protect your finances, you ensure that every minute works for you, every effort compounds, and every opportunity is seized. The discipline to guard your attention is the single most undervalued habit of the top 1% and the fastest route to multiplying wealth and influence. As we draw this conversation to a close, I want you to feel the weight of one truth. Your mind is the soil, and your actions are the seeds. Wealth, influence, and success do not arrive by chance. They are the harvest of disciplined thoughts, focused energy, and consistent action. Every overthought moment, every distraction, every delay is a missed opportunity. The top 1% are not extraordinary because of luck or talent alone. They are extraordinary because they train their minds to act, to focus, and to multiply value relentlessly. Your challenge is simple yet profound. Stop letting indecision and distraction steal your life. Take control of your attention as fiercely as you would protect your money. Commit to doing, learning, and growing daily. Let your thoughts be servants, not dictators. Replace fear with curiosity, worry with action, and hesitation with disciplined steps toward your goals. Remember, small, consistent actions compound over time into monumental results, just like small deposits grow into a fortune. Today, I urge you to make a decision to act, to focus, and to think like those who refuse to be average. Begin immediately by choosing one action that moves you toward wealth, knowledge, or mastery. Guard your focus, refine your habits, and create systems that keep you on track even when motivation fades. Seek knowledge, but more importantly, apply it. Solve problems, add value, and protect your mental and financial resources with the same vigilance. Success is not reserved for the chosen few, it is reserved for the few who choose. Choose today to stop overthinking, start acting, and train your mind as the foundation of wealth. Every moment you delay is a moment someone else is using to get ahead. The path is clear, the tools are in your hands, and the time to act is now.